Hey, the Ramblers and Rovers, I am Miguel, and today we are rambling and roving our way through Mexico's third largest city, the marvelous historic city of Guadalajara. We're starting our exploration of Guadalajara here at the Plaza de la Liberación in downtown Guadalajara. This is the heart, the vibrating, beating heart of the city itself. You have El Teatro de Gollado here in the back, the cathedral here at the other end. Downtown Guadalajara is a hub for culture and arts here in the state of Jalisco. Very, very much a vibrant city, and very, very much worth adding and including to your bucket list for Mexico. So let's start exploring this incredible city right from the very heart of Guadalajara. Let's go. So today we're going to be exploring Guadalajara's historic downtown, showing you some of the amazing sights, some of these like little nooks and crannies that you can find all over the city. Just kind of share that flavor and that color that really makes this an incredible destination here in Mexico. And just generally, let's see what trouble we can run into. We're starting off our exploration here, walking towards the cathedral to show you some of the amazing sights of this magnificent church with its golden spirals, which are so quintessentially Guadalajaran, and the main plaza here in the middle of downtown. So Guadalajara is an amazing city of wide plazas, history, culture. This is the capital of Jalisco, the state where mariachi, tequila, and charreria, Mexican traditional horseback riding, were born. So there's no lack of culture and color in this vibrant, vibrant city. So we're heading across from the municipal palace towards the rotunda of illustrious Jaliscienses, the people from the state of Jalisco. So for example, you have here the statue to José Clemente Orozco, this famous painter that I keep telling you guys about, who was native from here and whose paintings we're actually going to see in a little bit right down this way towards the Plaza de Armas and the State Palace. So this is a very, very beautiful walk here in Guadalajara, where you can see these statues of like the people who marked the city's history. Very, very much a walkable city. There's so many pedestrian crossings, and it's very well organized, and it's just an actual joy to just walk around and just explore this city. It's so easy. So, for example, you have Pedro Moreno, who was an insurgent who fought against the Spanish, another native-born person from Guadalajara. Many, many more people here. So if you're a history buff, this is a very, very old city. So Guadalajara is one of the biggest cities in this hemisphere. I think it ranks perhaps 9th or 10th on the list, and it's the third biggest city in Mexico after Mexico City and my native city of Monterrey in the north, but only by a few 100,000 inhabitants within the area of Guadalajara. Welcome to the magnificent Plaza Guadalajara, where you have the amazing cathedral here with its golden spirals in the background. It's just such a big cathedral. It's very hard to get it all on camera. And this amazing fountain here right behind me. It is just such a beautiful sight. Guadalajara was founded in 1542 after 4 unsuccessful tries. You can see the heritage of its Spanish culture and its founding by some of the first conquistadors who ever stepped in Mexico. Guadalajara quickly became one of the most important cities throughout Mexico, and it has still maintained that position even to this day. It's known as the Silicon Valley of Mexico because there are so many technology firms here in the city. Millions of people call it their home. And right behind me you have the municipal palace of Guadalajara, basically the town hall for the city. And this Plaza Guadalajara is just dotted with statues, cafes, bars, and so many things to see and do and appreciate. I actually came out yesterday here, and there was a concert going on here in the Plaza de Armas right down here with the French kiosk, this beautiful neoclassical structure from the late 19th century, early 20th century, when Mexico was heavily influenced by the French. And you can just catch concerts here during the weekends, or people are playing music on the streets, violin, guitar, singing, playing music. So there's no lack of activities to do here in the downtown, and so many nooks and crannies. So first things first, let's start with this amazing cathedral and show you some of the interiors, show you how devoted Mexicans are to their religion. Let's go in.
Para nosotros en el cuerpo y en la sangre de Jesucristo nuestro Señor, el cual también va a ser entregado a su pasión voluntariamente aceptada como pan, dándote gracias y del sangre de la alianza nueva y eterna, que será de la...
I don't really want to be too loud because I don't want to disturb the mass, but it is an enormous structure. I mean, you can just see the organ here in the back. It's very, very old, the church organ, enormous for these massive ceremonies and masses here. I mean, it is a very beautiful, relatively simply furnished cathedral, but still, its beauty is in its simplicity. So we're back out here at the Plaza Guadalajara, and now we're gonna go check out the Palacio de Gobierno here, the Palacio Municipal. If I'm not mistaken, there are some impressive murals here by José Clemente Orozco, a very famous Mexican muralist who was a contemporary of Diego Rivera and Siqueiros, doing the Mexican muralist movement here in Mexico. So we're gonna go check it out. Okay, so we are in the town hall in the inner courtyard here for the building. It's a very, very beautiful old building, and So the murals here, they're not by Jose Clemente Orozco. Those are at the State Palace, which we are gonna hopefully check out in a little bit, because you know it's very much worth it. But the artist here was a disciple of Orozco, according to what the armed policeman at the front told me. So we're gonna go see them. You can actually see them like right up here. So let's go. So this mural by the artist Gabriel Flores depicts the suffering of the indigenous people at the onset of the Spanish conquest, and just like the brutality of colonialism, oppression, the realities of like the conquista that as lived by the indigenous peoples of the region. So very powerful imagery, very stark lines that really bring out this emotional impact that is very typical of the muralist movement here in Mexico. So, an incredible work of art. You wouldn't expect so many of the buildings here in Guadalajara to have like these magnificent works of art. That's why it really pays off to be curious a little, go in and like try to like explore and just try to find these like amazing works of art in in these like little nooks and crannies like scattered all over these public buildings throughout the city. Saluditos de Guadalajara. So this is the Plaza de Armas, traditionally a mustering ground here right by the cathedral in the back and with the State Palace on this side. And behind me is the incredibly beautiful French kiosk. So yesterday here we had a concert, beautiful concert by this orchestra for the pleasure of all the citizens here and all the visitors to the city. So this is an amazing structure with the 7 muses making up the columns of the kiosk itself, very much built in the French style of the early 20th century, late 19th century. And an incredibly beautiful structure. I really like this kind of architecture. Just kind of really speaks to like Guadalajara's influence and its reach throughout, the world, as an important city here in Mexico. We're going towards the State Palace right behind me because this is the site of some other very famous murals which we are going to see. So just some general tips for you when you actually come and visit the museums. Most of the museums are going to be closed on Mondays. So that's why I had to wait until now, which is Tuesday, to actually go out and see some of these museums. So a lot of these museums are free, so it's an amazing opportunity to really get immersed in the culture and the history of Mexico, while also not breaking your bank. So really, really good activity to do, very recommendable. What I recommend that you should do is to open up Google Maps, click museums, search for museums, and just save the ones that you want to go to. There's plenty of them. There's so many, too many to do within a single video. I would need probably several weeks to do all of them. Everything ranging from a torture museum to history museums, art museums, and then within individual places like the State Palace, you have individual works of art that are also worth seeing. So just something to bear in mind when going out on a museum tour of the city. I'm actually pretty excited to see these. This has got to be one of the most impressive murals I have ever seen. So this mural is representing Miguel Hidalgo, who started the Mexican independence movement. So of course it has to find its way into Jalisco State Palace. Just an awe-inspiring work of art here that just has, again, like many of these political overtones, you know, like the symbolisms of the bayonets, like piercing the bodies of like the workers, the red flags. Obviously many of these artists were socialists and communists, so of course you find the red flags of revolution up here, you know, depicting the struggle of the masses. So, and it's also time because you can see here in the back all these figures representing the Nazis, fascism, and all these different things that all these artists fought against. Many of these artists were even soldiers themselves who fought either in the Mexican Revolution or the Spanish Civil War against fascism.
Puede ser, no sé si una bandera, una araña, no sé, a un lado del escalera, para que se sepa que por ahí es.
So we are now inside Jalisco's state legislature, and you can see behind me there's more murals here with more figures from the Mexican independence movement, Mexican history, just lining the top of the Senate chamber. So this is absolutely crazy that we can just like come in here and like see all of this. Going into this building was so worth it just for that mural. It's such a famous mural throughout Mexico, and it's one of the best and most representative works of Jose Clemente Orozco, again one of the most representative artists of Mexican muralism. So really worth a visit. It's free, just step in and boom, you're there, you're watching, you're seeing it. So the whole idea behind muralism is that at the time that these artists were working in all these public institutions, a lot of Mexicans were illiterate. So this was a very popular movement that which had the aim of creating this very pictorial way of indoctrinating the masses and of, you know, showcasing history, like Mexican history, like the struggle against oppression, colonialism, greed, corruption, all these different events in Mexican history in a way that people who could not read would very easily understand by going into these public buildings and observing these paintings. So right in front of the rotunda of illustrious people from Jalisco, Jaliscienses, you can find the Regional Museum of Guadalajara. So this has a lot of different exhibits about the history of Jalisco as a state and Guadalajara as a city. So very interesting if you're like a history buff just like I am. So let's go in. Also, very beautiful building. So in addition to different permanent exhibits here in the Regional Museum, they also have temporary exhibits like these ones showcasing chinaware, plates and vessels from all over the world that were used here in Mexico. to just, you know, always keeping it interesting, like having like a nice rotation of different exhibits. Beautiful. So the regional museum has a really nice exhibits about the history of the indigenous peoples who originally settled here in the Jalisco region, especially around Guadalajara. And it also has some exhibits on the paleontology of the region, and oh my god, that is a mammoth. I feel that children in particular would be so drawn to this museum. I mean, how can you not, with like all these like different artifacts? This amazing skeleton of the mammoth. Really fascinating and stimulating place to bring your kids if you're here with them in Guadalajara. They have some very incredible pieces here in the museum, including this beautiful painting of the Battle of Puebla, also known as the Battle of Cinco de Mayo. You guys are familiar with it. And just like all these different portraits, cannons, pieces of literature from like 100 years ago, 200 years ago. It's like very insane. My god, that was such an impressive museum. A really nice collection of artifacts, just kind of like random artifacts from like all different periods of Mexican history. So really nice place to go and get a sense of just who inhabited these lands in the past, just kind of how life was for them way back when. And we're back at Plaza de la Liberación here in downtown Guadalajara. We are coming up on the Teatro de Gollado, this amazing neoclassical structure right behind me. This is a very famous theater. It's right across from the University of Guadalajara, another very famous institution here in Jalisco, very renowned for its culture and its teaching traditions. So Guadalajara hosts the biggest book fair in Mexico. It's very famous. So I mean, as a writer myself, this is like quite a literary city. I mean, kind of up there with Guanajuato, for example, another very famous city that has traditionally been a university town. And I mean, you can always catch a concert here. I believe that different orchestras are playing this week, so hopefully we can catch like a concert here sometime in the next couple of days. I have to like check how it is, but for sure, it's very beautiful facade here, very reminiscent of the Pantheon in Paris. This is a very beautiful city. I do believe this is one of the most beautiful cities in Mexico, at least the downtown area is. So this whole area between the cathedral and the Plaza de Armas, right there in the back, all the way down to the Hospicio Cabanas, which you can very faintly see all the way down here. It's an extremely enjoyable walk to do. You have all these different shops and restaurants, a couple little bars here and there, and this is a place where people really come to enjoy the promenade between all these different sites here in the Guadalajara downtown, going all the way down towards the Hospicio Cabanas, which is actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site and the site of some of Guadalajara's most famous murals. Let's go check it out. So let me give you an example of the finery that you can find here in Guadalajara. This is a very, very old house, and it's actually a restaurant nowadays. So I just wanted to show you how it is inside, just like the inner court, the inner spaces, and these like very, very vintage old like tables here, like this little Mexican bistro, very much influenced like the French style, I mean from the early 20th century, as we've been commenting. So Guadalajara was a very international city even back then. So a lot of the culture and influence you can still see in all these different nooks and crannies all over the city. So just very, very fine establishment if you want to come and have like a good meal. But not everything though is luxury and finery. You also have the finer pleasures of life, you know, the more popular sites where you can have, you know, you can have ice cream or agua fresca or your street tacos or tejuino right here on the street. So these pleasures, although cheap, are not to be underestimated. These are life's great pleasures. This is a very nice walk to do along the Centro. You're passing all these restaurants, shops, tiny little eateries. It's just a very, very fun environment to be in. This city is very walkable, especially here in the downtown. Tons of people here, you know, always saying hi. So some of the best souvenirs that you can get here in this region are leather goods. So you have tons of traditional Mexican boots and belts and hats here that you can take home and use, you know, wherever you're from. Everything from huaraches, traditional Mexican sandals, which are basically indestructible, to some Mexican boots, you know, which are world famous for their ability to just knock somebody out in a single kick. Belts of all kinds. Jalisco and Guanajuato, its neighboring state, are very much famous for producing leather goods, very much cattle country. So you do have this almost like cowboy-like tradition, which we actually taught Americans how to be cowboys, because it comes from the traditions of Spanish Andalusian riders, which eventually made its way north as, you know, people settled further and further west. So this is also the land of the charro and the sombrero. So really, really worth it to come here and pick a beautiful article for you to wear back home. So this man behind me is making these little grasshoppers here for sale here on the street. He's doing it with basically one hand, because he's one-handed. So no handicap can hold him back.
Vamos a hacer un chapulincito.
¿Listo?
Vamos.
Dale.
Lo que le vamos a hacer ahorita es el cuerpecito. Lo llevas el video
A YouTube.
ahí lo vamos a hacer famosos.
Sí, claro. So this man learned how to do.
Te lo regalo.
These men learned how to do these grasshoppers from his grandfather. So you know this very traditional Honduran way of making these beautiful little crafts. This man is an immigrant here in Mexico. He's Honduran. People didn't give him a job, so he does this. Gracias, mi hermanito. So I have a new friend here on my hat.
Hello.
Talk about having a feather on your cap. This city is just such a joy to walk here in the downtown. It is an amazing, amazing place. There's just so much to do. I am actually surprised at how much there is and how vibrant a place it is. Ooh, I'm seeing that the plaza of the mariachi is that way, so we might go exploring that afterwards. So Guadalajara has always really been considered as one of the center of the arts here in Mexico. It's a very cultural city, one where art, architecture, history all meld together to form this very unique experience of Mexico. So totally recommendable that you guys include this on your travel bucket list for Mexico, especially for Central Mexico. So this fine building in the back is the old Hospicio Cabanas, now the Museo Cabanas. This is one of Guadalajara's main art museums here in the city. This is one of the best things that you can come and see here in the city if you're into culture and especially the bohemian and artistic scene. It always has these rotating exhibits, but also some of its iconic permanent exhibits like the murals of Jose Clemente Orozco, which are inside. And outside here in this plaza, this wide plaza, you have these statues by the artist Alejandro Colunga, which are these seats, very iconic of the city of Guadalajara. You have some of these also in Puerto Vallarta, which if you've been keeping up with some of our previous videos, you have seen along the Malecón. So these very surreal statues where you can sit down and have somebody take a picture of you with these magnificent works of art. So, I mean, very surreal, but very cool. So you can sit down and get a really cool selfie. It's like having acid nightmares, man. It's just so surreal. Look at this. It really will give you nightmares if you ponder too much about them. Kind of want to leave like an offering or something, you know, like a chicken or something to these like gods of some other dimension. All right, let's jump right in. So this building that we're going into, the old hospice building, holds some of Mexico's most iconic muralist art right here. So this is going to be a real treat. I really recommend you guys come and see this. Incredible. Just look at this. So the murals within this hall are one of Jose Clemente Orozco's greatest masterpieces. These are beautiful, incredible works of art. It's really worth it to come here and get the guided tour. They also have an audio tour here. So there's just so much symbolism and history and culture mixed in among the murals here. So it's very much worth it to come here and learn about like what this all means. Let's remember that the murals here were meant to educate the masses, the illiterate masses, just by watching and observing the symbolisms on the mural walls. So this iconic mural here at the top of the hall here is Jose Clemente Orozco's masterpiece. And it's called The Burning Man, or The Man on Fire, because of the subject matter that it has. And it was painted in 1938, so a time of great strife in Mexico and the world in general, especially in Mexico, where you're grappling with the after effects of the revolution and social change. So all just very indicative of like the time that the painter lived. Truly remarkable work of art. The Museo Cabanas is one of the most popular art museums in the city. So apart from its iconic murals, the 57 murals by Jose Clemente Orozco, you also have these rotating and temporary exhibitions that they have here. In addition to the building itself being just a very, very beautiful structure. And can you hear the singing of the birds behind me? We are outside the MUSA, the University of Guadalajara's Museum of Art, outside of this beautiful, beautiful building. Inside of this museum are plenty of different beautiful artworks, including some very famous murals by Jose Clemente Orozco, a native-born Mexican muralist who was a contemporary of Diego Rivera and David Alfaro Siqueiros. So let's go in, see some of these works. So this area of the museum is actually closed today for renovations. They're taking down some of the artwork and they are restoring it. They didn't allow me to film that process, but they did allow me to come in and show you the murals that are here, the Orozco murals, and they are just absolutely mind-blowingly impressive. Just look at this. The Mexican muralist movement was heavily influenced by the Mexican Revolution, so it has a lot of these socialist themes, with themes of the working class oppressed and breaking free of its chains, the people, you know, voicing their suffering and enacting change into the world. So these works of art, which are also notoriously difficult to do because you have to really prepare the whole space for it to, you know, be a lasting work of art, and also it's very hard to paint on the actual walls, and it's a very painstaking process where if you make a mistake, it's there forever. So just this work of art just really speaks to that sentiment and those ideals of this movement that plastered its values on the walls of Mexican institutions all over the country. An absolutely stunning and amazing work of art. So Orozco's work is very notorious for its bold traces and determined lines, which you can really see in the painting here behind me in this mural, and just that strong like detail with which he paints these like stark images of starving people and the huddled masses like yearning for something else. Totally worth coming to the museum just for this. that was absolutely incredible that they allowed me in while they were doing that restoration work. It really just goes to show that if you don't ask for things, you just don't get them handed to you. So always be curious and always look for a way in. So Musa has rotating art exhibits, and this exhibit is about the golden age of Mexican cinema and all these classic Mexican movies that were produced here, either by Mexicans themselves or exiles from Europe who ended up in Mexico during and after the Second World War. So these are just one of the many kinds of works of art that you can come and appreciate and learn about when you come into this museum. So we're here at the top part of the museum where we have this painting that the guard is telling me is from Picasso's nephew. I mean, you can kind of see like that, relatively similar influence. Jacob Villaton. We're gonna have to look him up. You guys want to know anything about him? Put some comments in down below. And so this is a part of the museum's actual collection. It's a part of the rotating exhibition, so you always have these different works of art that are put out. It's a very varied exposition, art show. I really like how this part of the exposition was curated. These statues are by Alejandro Colunga, who is the artist who did the same statues that are outside of the Hospicio Cabanas, the famous Guadalajara seating statues. So these are from him too. You really have this like curated, like very kind of like vampire-esque like tomb here with this installation and like the paintings here. Very dark, very moody. I really love how it was curated. I love this work of art. So this kind of art is very much a Huichol style of art. Either the artist is Huichol or he is inspired by the Huichol art. So the Huichols are people who inhabit Jalisco and some of the surrounding states, and they are very well known for their wool tapestries. So the inclusion of this in the museum is an amazing piece that like really brings out the cultural heritage of the state here in Jalisco. This work of art is a masterpiece. Let's see who the artist is. This is by Gabriel Flores, 1978. Wow. I really love the style of the painting, like the heavy symbolisms in it, like these like emotions, how the color palette just really brings out like this range of emotions. It gives it like this mood. Just amazing, amazing. This guy, I mean, to me looks kind of like a Spaniard, like a conquistador, maybe getting dragged down by like the sins of the past. There is a galleon here burning in the back. And just all these masses. It's a very common theme in Mexican art to deal with like the conquista and colonialism. I mean, of course, the country has a huge history of it. This was an amazing museum, but I am ready for the next one. right behind me is the Mercado San Juan de Dios. Get ready for an amazing experience. Let's just try not to get killed here. Get ready for an experience of a lifetime here at the Mercado. This is one of the biggest markets here in the city, which is the third largest in Mexico. We're gonna find delicious food, some souvenirs, and just about anything that you can get in here. So we're gonna be exploring this whole area. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So this is one of the biggest markets here in Guadalajara. It was founded in the 1950s, where the road from Mexico City used to come in into Guadalajara. ¿Qué pasó, señor? ¿Qué dice?
Hola.
Saludos para todo el mundo.
Saludos a todo el mundo. Arriba Argentina.
Arriba Argentina. So, you know, very multicultural place. Hola. Just gotta be careful with the baby here. And we're through. So this is a very uniquely, baby's crying. This is a very uniquely Mexican experience. Everything from Mexican sweets, very traditional, to tequilas and rum punch and all kinds of cool nifty little souvenirs. This is one of the big attractions to do here in Guadalajara. You really can't miss it. You can get all kinds of amazing and uniquely Mexican goods here, especially leather goods, for example. You can get your Mexican boots here, very famous. So being in the state of Jalisco, it is the home of the mariachi, the origin of the mariachi, the origin of sombreros, the origin of tequila, and the charreria. So it really is one-of-a-kind place, even in a country that is so vibrant and varied. So you really can't miss it. If you have kids, you really can't miss out on exploring the toy shops. ¿Qué onda, amigo? ¿Cómo estás? And the masks for the lucha libre here in Guadalajara. It's a very traditional part of Jalisco culture. You have a couple of arenas here actually, so there's gonna be a lot of that floating around.
Este.
El más buscado de Jalisco.
El más buscado. Pero listo, joven. Todavía para
For all of your shamanic needs, you can come here to this store and get all of your false saints and candles if you want to do like brujería on, like, you know, an enemy or maybe a love potion. Oye, amigo, hoy no venden pociones de amor. ¿Sí?
Ese güey vende. ¿Yo?
Pues ¿cuál es la poción de amor, la indicada?
La indicada, mira. Esta es la indicada, miel de amor. Por si quieres hacerte un amarre, quieres tener a tu pareja feliz, pues este es el momento donde la puedes comprar, ¿verdad?
Hoy no vendes como a granel.
A gran sí, güey. Machín, hay varias personas que sí llegan y varios amarres, como tanto en veladoras, el amarre de burro, 2, 3 cosas, ¿verdad? Que sí se vende, como la santería, todo eso.
Sí, son bastantes santas muertes. Oye, pero yo nunca he entendido qué es la Santa Muerte.
Mira, la Santa Muerte yo la llevo en mi pecho, güey, porque es como, es una creencia, güey, o más que nada es la que representa, ¿no? Tarde o temprano es la que nos recoge a nosotros, güey, ¿verdad? Es como un guardián, güey. Dependiendo del color, tenemos aquí la de 7 colores, 7 potencias, la negra que es contra los enemigos, la blanca es de cuidado, la dorada esa la trae el dinero, güey, ¿verdad? Toda la hora de que compras una, tú la puedes activar. Ya le echamos aquí ciertas hierbitas, güey, donde la activamos hacia tu nombre para que empiece a conocerte. Tú llegas a tu casa y la presentas, güey, ¿verdad? Como si fuera una persona. La presentas y le explicas entre los cuartos, va a ser tu nueva casa, le pones su vela, una manzana, un vasito de agua, le prendes sus inciensos y empieza a fluir, güey, ¿verdad? Ya le haces tú una plática que se le llama una oración, güey. Oras, tú le pides, pero pues también así como le pides hay que cumplirle, güey, porque si no, pues...
Sí, pues no.
Exacto, ¿verdad?
Sí,
la
sí,
neta,
no, pues
mucho
no.
cuidado, no es juego, güey, con esto no es juego.
Sí,
la
claro.
neta.
Yeah, so unless you really know what you're doing, like he does, you really shouldn't be dabbling in this unless you are, you know, have a bit of experience with shamanism and like all kinds of different spiritual traditions. But still, this is a very, very Mexican cultural icon. It's very popular here in Jalisco. Es bien popular aquí en Jalisco, ¿verdad? Se da mucho.
La santería.
Sí. This really is the forbidden section of the mercado. You know, like in Harry Potter, the forbidden section of the library. That's pretty much what that is. And right here, you can also get your fish. Puro fish aquí. Para el taco de camarón.
Todo hay aquí.
Todo. This is such a big market. Like you can really just get lost in its depths. It really is like its own separate little world. You can get some food here. So actually we're coming up on the area where you can eat here at the mercado. You can get anything from like do your groceries, you know, you have your butcher shops, fish. You know, people are just like very happy to be on camera here. So like, you know, really get anything. I am actually super hungry. I've been rambling and rolling my way across Guadalajara and I am looking for a traditional birreria. So this is a very traditional Mexican dish here, specifically from Jalisco. Oh my god, those look insanely good. Tortas. You have your tortas, you have your birria. So birria is this very traditional dish here in Jalisco, which is made from goat meat which is seasoned and then wrapped in banana leaves and then steamed like over long hours. And so it ends up being this very soft, juicy meat cut. So we're gonna look for some of that and then maybe have a torta. I don't know, I just want to have everything really. So Latin American mercados can be a very gritty experience, but also very immersive. You get all kinds of very unique goodies here, flavors, authentic food, and all on the cheap, for the most part. So we're going up to the second floor now. Wow, this is a food market. This is a real food market. Look at this. You can get anything your stomach desires here. Your heart and maybe your liver will probably hate you for it though. This mercado is absolutely batshit insane. This is so big. How can I describe the amount of smells, sounds, sights you are receiving at once? It's hard to transmit on video. And panoramic views of it. There we go. How can you even start to choose any one of these places? There are so many of them. So many. Oh my god, I really have to try like 2 or 3 different things. So, okay, so I got recommended El Palenque. for its birria, so I can show you guys. But then I also want some tortas, and then I also want some like street sushi. It's probably a bad idea, but it actually looks really good. Oh my god, just so much. There's almost like a light smoke in the air, like a haze from all the cooking oils, all the different recipes and dishes getting cooked here. This has got to be, I mean, even for Mexico, one of the most surreal markets to visit. Okay, so I just asked for fried birria tacos. So they're getting the pan ready, especially for me. So we're getting one birria taco here. It's a pretty big tortilla, and you can see it right here, already prepared, seasoned, goat meat. This is actually pretty exciting because this is a very, very typical dish here. I'm very excited to try this, and I'm so hungry, so I can't wait to eat this. So what they do is, this is the birria broth. So a lot of the fat ends up melting down in the cooking process, and that's what they use to fry it here on the pan. It's gonna be so good. So you can make all kinds of stuff with it. You can eat it as a dish itself. You can make tacos. You can make sandwiches, birria sandwiches. Like, you can have them fried, which are really, really good. So just like tons and tons of different things that you can do, just like this. Okay, so I just found out that they have tepache here, and I could not resist getting a glass of it. So what is tepache? Tepache is basically the Mexican kombucha. It's pineapple juice that's fermented using the outer rinds of the pineapple itself, which have natural yeasts. So they leave it in there until it ferments. It's slightly alcoholic, but it's so good for you. It's a really, really traditional, healthy Mexican drink. I cannot believe I stumbled on it right here at the birreria itself. We just got our tepache here, so let's give this a try. Bottoms up. It is just so sweet and tangy with a very light fermented taste, but not too bad. You know, like not too much. Well balanced between like the fermented taste, the tanginess, and the sweetness, the sugars that are left inside. Oh my god, this is so good. Gracias. A tu salud. Gracias. So this is our consomme. This is the actual birria broth from which the birria is made. So it's very traditional to get it alongside your taco. And we have officially gotten our birria taco. This is 60 pesos, so more or less like $3. $4, a little bit expensive. I mean, comparing taco prices, but you look at this, it's a monster. This is probably gonna be its own meal. I am so excited to try this. All right, let's go. Alright, so let's try the fruits of our labors. Down the hatch. Wish me luck. I'll probably need it. It's so blasted juicy. It's so good. Oh my god. I don't even need to put broth in it or anything. Tastes just like Jalisco. You really just have to keep working at it. It's just so much, but it's so good. Once you pop, you can't stop, kind of thing, you know? Oh wow, I just tried this salsa. Man, is that strong. Remember guys, there's an art and a secret to eating a taco. Hold it by the back so that everything gets pushed out the front, right into your mouth. I don't want my love affair with birria to ever end. So I am still nursing down the tepache. It's just so good. That was an insane taco. Just one really tied me off, probably for the rest of the afternoon. I really want to have there are just so many things to have here. It's impossible to try them all in one go. You have to do consecutive visits here. Very traditional market, just absolutely amazing. I was blown away by those flavors, by the juiciness of the birria. Such a delicious recipe.
No viene a Jalisco a comer torta ahogada, no vino a comer como una buena jericaya.
Perfecto. So here in Jalisco, tortas ahogadas are a very typical dish. So it's a regular torta like the ones we saw downstairs, only it's smothered and drowned in salsa. That's why it's called ahogada. Ahogada means drowned. So it's a torta, like a carnita sandwich, which is drowned in salsa. And we are out of the market and back out into just like city air, you know, some fresh city air. This was a crazy experience. You guys really can't miss out on this incredible, authentic, very gritty, very real Mexican experience. We are rambling and roving our way through the magical town of Tlaquepaque here inside the city of Guadalajara. Tlaquepaque is one of Guadalajara's most colorful neighborhoods. It's a place that is very much worth it to come and see during your trip here to Guadalajara. You really can't miss it, and let me show you why. Let's go. Tlaquepaque, one of Guadalajara's most colorful neighborhoods. Not really a neighborhood though, technically it's its own little town which has been swallowed up by Guadalajara, by the city itself. So it's actually a pueblo mágico. If you guys don't know what a pueblo mágico is, it's a designation that the Mexican Tourism Authority gives to places of touristic importance. So tons of color are promised here, and I can already see like the downtown area coming up right up here, and it's colorful for sure. So coming to Tlaquepaque is kind of the perfect day trip here in Guadalajara. It's almost like its own little town. It actually, well, like we were saying, it really is. And you can really spend like a whole day just exploring this whole historic neighborhood, this historic little pueblo mágico. It's known for its stalls, for its very famous party place, the Parian, all its different beautiful churches, its statues and the art, its color, the vibrancy of the Mexican culture, good food, really good street food, and desserts here. And also tons of mariachi come and play here. So if you really want to dive into Mexico as imagined by Epcot or like Disney, this is kind of it.
Tengo miedo de los ojos.
Ahorita, ¿qué les de probar de eso?
Ay, no.
Lo picante es mejor.
There's so many souvenir stands and stalls here selling everything from handmade leather goods, very typical and traditional to the state of Jalisco here in Mexico, or you know, your regular knickknacks to take your disgruntled family back home. Mexican candy, as we saw, we could get like grilled corn, very traditional grilled corn here. My, does it all just look so good. So we're crossing the central square here with the kiosk here in the back, and of course you can hear the screaming kids. Very typical of Mexico. Probably its most beautiful feature. You know, like just the joy of it, the inhabitants of all these beautiful places. And we're coming up on the temple of St. Peter, the Templo de San Pedro. And right across from it is the Santuario de Nuestra Señora de la Soledad, which we are going to see in a little bit. Kind of weird to have two churches like a kitty corner across from each other, but you know, Mexico is a Catholic country. This is a very beautiful church, both of them are. I really think that one is very unique. That strange facade is something I haven't seen in Mexico before, but let's explore this one first. So this is the Temple of St. Peter, which you can tell kind of by the little vitrine of St. Peter here. So let's take a quick and very respectful peek inside. Very beautiful church, and it's always quite the cultural experience to see other people practicing their spirituality, whether that's here in Mexico as a Catholic, as a devoutly and uniquely Catholic country, or anywhere else in the world. Obviously you have to be respectful about it and not intrude too much, but you know, get that air. So this temple is dedicated to Our Lady of Solitude, Nuestra Señora de la Soledad. Very beautiful church with crystal chandeliers and this very beautiful ornate altar at the end. You can just see that very beautiful Baroque influence that is very characteristic of Mexican churches. So Mexicans have always been uniquely devoted to the Virgin Mary. So of course you're going to have these grand temples to honor that tradition in this country. Whew, with our prayers now out of the way, let's go find that one thing that we always look for in our videos. Ice cream.
Que sigues Independencia,
Ajá.
las siguientes cuadras,
Ok.
y es 1, 2 cuadras y a mano izquierda.
¿Cómo se llama otra vez?
Chapalita.
Chapalita.
De garrafa Chapalita.
Perfecto, muchas gracias, eh.
Gracias.
So we just got our local recommendation and we're off to the races, la Chapalita. So that woman's recommendation is actually sending us through a very beautiful part of town, which I definitely do not regret. As you can see, tons of different leatherworks that you can buy here, different crafts. And on this side, you have this very beautiful craft market and walkway with these beautiful statues here. If I had a house, that would be the doorway. You know, some kind of deep ocean cosmic horror, like conjured up from the deeps. Okay, so contrast those statues, you know, the octopus place, with the ones that are right across, just here. Just like religious art store. Very weird to have one in front of the other. But also, you know, Mexican is a place of contrasts. Alright, now we just gotta find that blasted ice cream place. Where is it? I am really liking the feel of this town. It's just so funky and colorful, and with like hints of like bohemianism, like here and there. It really feels like it's almost like a jewel box kind of town, like a jewel box touristy kind of town, which is fine. And we have the Centro back there, and we're heading that way. Careful with the maguey plant. Just keep going. Don't get distracted by the tequila store. Don't get distracted by the tequila store. Don't get distracted by the tequila store. So this whole walkway is Calle Juarez, and just look at this. Doesn't it kind of look like it was like done on purpose? It's just such a great little pleasure to walk down these streets and just kind of like take a peek into every nook, see what you find. And usually it's Scorpio Mezcal, clothing store, Scorpio Mezcal, which is not a bad combination. Yes, there we go. Nieves de Garrafa, Chapalita. And the line is long, which means they must be pretty good. Alright, so I thought this was gonna be like some kind of like secret here, but I guess the secret is out. You know, cat's out of the bag, the ice cream cat that is. So they're even coming up here and asking for the money beforehand, so that, you know, the line gets serviced a little quicker. It's kind of nice actually. The menu is so extensive. There you have so many different combinations, anything from marzipan to wine, avocado, brownie, so many different options. This is insane. I think ours is coming right here. Listo, perfecto, muchas gracias. So this is what we got, the world's weirdest ice cream combination. So the top part is pineapple and basil, and the bottom part is clericot. I always have to do everything on camera one-handed. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Or in very inadequate footwear. So I've just been exploring like the whole city on like my beach flip-flops that have, you know, been trash-worthy for the past 2 months. Let's try this out. Okay, this is pineapple and basil. You know, you guys probably think that this is disgusting, but it is so goddamn good. The mintiness of the basil jives so well with the sweetness of the pineapple. This is so good. Yum! Just look at that. Perfect for a hot summer's day. As we keep working on this ice cream, we haven't even reached the Clerico yet. We just discovered this really cool craft market with all these beautiful stalls. There's just so many colors here. This is almost like the diagonal alley of Tlaquepaque, with like all these like magical little figurines and creatures here. So beautiful. Let's see if we go a little bit deeper what we can find. So at the end of this craft market is this beautiful little restaurant. You know, if you are looking for like a nice quiet spot to chill after spending the afternoon just exploring this whole magical little town, this Pueblo Mágico, that seems like a good place. So the top of the pineapple is starting to melt into the clary coat. So let's see. Surprisingly good, and blast, it does actually taste like wine. This was such a good choice. You really have to go get ice cream there. So now we've reached the jewel of Tlaquepaque, El Parian, a meeting place that was built in 1878 and which has a lot of Tlaquepaque's bars. You can already hear the mariachi music blasting from the interior. So let's go in and check it out. This promises to be one of the most colorful things to do here in Tlaquepaque. Let's go.
Y allá, a tu rancho, ¿cómo está la jugada?
Maybe a couple of different mariachi bands playing at any given time. The walls are covered in murals. There's so many tables here. This is the perfect place to have your authentic Mexican fiesta here in Guadalajara. Just look at the beautiful murals covering the walls. So there are 19 bars inside the Parian. They're all clustered around each other in this circle. With this gazebo here in the middle, all the Mexican flags here all around us, and of course the amazing sound of the mariachi band playing for the guests. This has to be the most Mexican place in all of Mexico, and I am not joking about this. Oh my god, what a unique and mind-blowing experience. I really want to see how this gets on a Saturday night. Right now it's a Tuesday afternoon, so of course it's not full. But you can very well imagine, you know, on the weekends, how full this can get. And also during the Fiesta de San Pedro, which is Tlaquepaque's patronal fiesta here, I can only imagine the kind of chaos that goes on in here behind these walls.
Saludos, mamá, salí en la tele.
Thank you so much for being a part of this brief tour of Tlaquepaque and sharing in these beautiful moments and these colorful vistas and the amazing Mexican culture that you can find here. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, do all the usual YouTube stuff, say hi in the comments. I really like hearing from all of you guys wherever you are in the world. And remember, the mariachi are calling, so you better come here and add this to your Mexico bucket list. So until our next adventures, adios travelers, keep on rambling and roving.